and I'm chatting with Peter Sharman. So are you in Boston, Pete, at the moment?
I am, yes. I'm in isolation at home.
Oh, are you?
Just voluntary.
Okay. You haven't got any
No,
symptoms?
no worries. No, none at all at the moment.
Oh, no. Well, I think it's very sad that tonight's old boys dinner has been cancelled, but it's perfectly understandable in the circumstances. And I received the refund check for the dinner this morning, so I appreciate that. But the only thing is that the building society is now closed, so I've got no way of banking it at the moment. But
oh, well, I pay mine here online, so that's okay. So
well, I paid online, but anyway, never mind.
No worries.
So we chose, or you chose this time on a Saturday afternoon because you would normally be otherwise engaged in your.
Yes, I received these this week. My tickets for Norwich against Manchester United. Should have been playing tomorrow.
Oh, really? I know. It's sad. I'm a Leicester City supporter, so we ought to be grateful to you for letting us have James Maddison, because I think he's made quite a bit of difference to the team. But you've done very well against Leicester City this year, though, haven't you? You know, compared to others.
We certainly, yeah, exactly. We've done well against the top teams.
You have, yes. And in a way, it's a bit surprising in those circumstances that you find yourself where you are in the league.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you've been. How long have you been president of the Boston Grammar School Old Boys?
Well, I'm not president now. Gus Gore is actually president now. I'm secretary now.
Oh, right. You were last year, though.
I was president. No, I think Gus is in his second year. I was president for 8 years, which was. I had to change the constitution to allow myself to be continue to be in the post, because no one else wanted it, and originally 5 years was the maximum. Okay,
so you've done a Putin on on the constitution to allow yourself to extend that period. Well, I can
because no one else wanted.
I can understand that. It's a thankless task, but I have to say that you've done a great job, and you know, it was great for me to be able to come to the old boys dinner a couple of times last year and see some of the people. The thing that I found most remarkable about last year was Ken Whittle. He looked exactly the same as I remember him.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to him a few weeks ago. He's unfortunately, obviously, age is beginning to tell on him now, but he's having to be caring for his wife now, which is rather sad. So
oh, right, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Fine, but Ken's wonderful teacher.
He was a great bloke, and it was lovely to see him again, along with you know, people like Pete Milson and George Danby, and to be able to swap stories with them. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sharing a screen, and I'm going to load up this virtual tour of Boston that I've created with a new virtual cinema in the Assembly Hall at Boston Grammar School. So I'll just check that you can see a picture of the stump on your screen. You can see what I can see.
Yes.
Okay, so it's pretty much the same as it was when I went through it with Chris Blake, except that I've added a few things, partly really because of some of the things that we may be having in common. And I've also included some extra instructions, because the way that it works, if people access the web-based version, they might have a few problems with the 360-degree videos that I've set up. They don't play properly. I think it's a problem with my internet service provider's server, but I'm going to be able to address that. Still, it doesn't stop us having a look at some 360-degree videos, because I'm not running this virtual tour from the internet. I'm actually running it as a program off my machine. So when we come to certain bits, we still will be able to show 360-degree video. So the things that I've added from last night are some extra hotspots, like this one, which will take us to Herbert Ingram statue. And it will allow people who want to use this interactively to navigate round and go to different hotspots and always be able to get back to the main view by clicking on aerial view. So do you have any particular memories of Boston Marketplace, like the Boston Fair and things like that?
Oh yes, I mean obviously we used to frequent the fair at lunchtimes, of course, and probably after having some fish and chips, and then go on the waltzer. So it wasn't always sensible, but those are the sort of things we did. Living out of, I probably didn't go to the fair in the evenings and weekends like obviously the town lads did.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember a very unfortunate experience, and I'll just go over to the Five Lamps now because from memory, the waltzer was pretty much in front of the town hall, wasn't it? Can you remember that?
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah, and
exactly that's where it was. Yes.
And I think the fair workers used to take a delight when school kids would go on that ride at lunchtime, and they would do their best to try and make us feel sick.
Right, yeah.
I remember on one occasion this happened to me, and I had to be taken into Boots, which used to be round about, from memory, there was a Boots
on the corner.
On the corner there. I was taken into Boots, yes, and sat down on a chair and given some water because I was looking a little bit green. Anyway, we'll make our way down the street. There's just one other memory that I know I've shared with other people, and that is that one of my favourite bands when I was at school or at the point of leaving school, and it's always been a favourite band of mine, was Pink Floyd. And I can remember going into Boots, which was the end of the street here, just almost opposite the Five Lamps, and buying their Piper at the Gates of Dawn album. And that was and I only bought it because I liked the picture and I liked the title of some of the tracks. Were you a music fan in those days, Peter?
Oh yes, yeah. I was. I mean, I think more the old rock and roll and Eddie Cochran and Buddy Holly and all those type was probably a bit more for me. Not the heavy stuff, probably quite so much as you.
No. But were you a regular? Were you a regular at the Gliderdrome then at all?
Oh, definitely. From about 15 years old onwards, yes.
Okay. So were you
get on the bus? We used to have a bus.
And we were, don't you think, very lucky to see the kind of bands that played at the Gliderdrome in those days.
It's amazing who was there, and I mean even the bands that used to play in the second room on the second stage were some great bands on there.
Yes.
I particularly remember Jimmy Crawford used to play in the other room, and it was just amazing.
Yeah. I don't think I ever went in the other room. I only ever saw the main stage, but I saw Otis Redding there. I saw Ike and Tina Turner there. The Equals were quite a regular one. And
Elton.
Sorry?
Elton, of course.
Yeah. I didn't actually see Elton John. No. I remember seeing PJ Proby there.
Yes, I saw that one, yeah.
Him perform.
I remember Brenda Lee and Dusty Springfield.
Yeah, I saw Dusty Springfield. Didn't see Brenda Lee. Oh, yeah. Those were the days, eh?
Exactly.
Anyway, moving down the street, I don't know whether you were in your younger days ever went to the Odeon Cinema, did you?
Yes, did.
Well, what I've managed to do is recover an old picture. of the cinema.
Yeah. I just need to correct you there, though, because the Odeon Cinema is not the building. It's not where the building is that you're showing. It's actually
to the right. It's to the right.
To the right.
Yes,
it's the doctor's surgery to the right.
Yeah, I need to adjust the position of that so that it's in the right place. But you know, thank you for correcting me.
That building was there. The glass-fronted building was there. It was in fact Mayan Hassel's, I think. It was someone buildings merchants.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember Mayan Hassel. Yes, because you can see in this black and white picture that there is, you know, it's obviously not the Guildhall or Blackfriars next door to it, or
that was the Guildhall. Yeah, yes, the Guildhall.
The Guildhall. Yes, I remember that. So I'm going to move that a little bit to make sure that it's accurate, and then move on to an aerial view, that panoramic aerial view, which was shot really over the grammar school playing fields. So you can see there's lots of links to other things. And one of them, I know you were a footballer in your days. Was it Sporting Club Bicker you used to play for?
I was secretary. I was founder member of Sporting Club Bicker. Right. And yes, I took over as secretary of Swineshead when I was 17. So
yeah. I mean, playing in the Boston District Sunday League, I started off with Inter Wibberton, and it always used to amuse me that a lot of these teams had names taken from the Italian Football League, like Sporting Club.
That's right. Yes, yeah. We had Santos
and Real Towel.
Santos.
Oh, and Santos as well. Yeah. So I've actually put a link to Boston United reserve side from '67, '68, and Brian Uttridge and myself played in that team in those days. And this particular photograph, I was really, quite a bit of hero worship, because Brian Clifton was stood next to me, and he was a regular with Boston first team, just coming back from injury, but he played many games for Southampton in the first division, so he was a really class player. And of course, our manager in those days was Ken Oxford, ex Norwich City.
Of course, yeah. Of course, yes. Yeah.
Were you supporting them in Ken Oxford's days, or was it a bit early?
Well, I started supporting them in 1959, the FA Cup run of '59, when we got to the semi-final of the FA Cup.
I believe that Ken was playing then. I seem to remember that Ken Oxford was in goal for Norwich.
No, the goalkeeper that season was started off as Ken Nethercott, right, who shoulder blade against Sheffield United, and we went on to win with 10 men. Yeah. And then Sandy Kennan came in after that.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, so okay. Ken was probably just before.
He must have been a little way before that. But one of the links that I set up at the playing field gives us a panoramic of the playing field, and the BGS team from 1965-66. With Tyrone Dolby's in there, and Clive Wicks, Trevor Howsham, Mick Cater, as myself.
Yes,
yeah. And that was we did quite well. I used to love the I think it was usually on a Wednesday afternoon we used to go out and play, and I think my favourite fixture was RAF Cranwell, because we'd always get a nice meal at the end of that. Yeah, so...
Well, I have a little story. I mean, you mentioned Brian Uttridge earlier. I have a little story I always recall when we played at, I think it was Lincoln School.
Yeah.
And Brian was ill, and he badly broke his arm. And Brian, myself and Brian Pell had cycled, as we normally did, to the barge at Swineshead Bridge to meet up with the school bus to go up to the football. But of course, we had to come back without Brian, before telephone prevalent in the area, and Brian Pell and myself had to cycle back along the A17 with Brian Uttridge's cycle and then go and tell his parents that we'd left him in hospital.
Oh dear, I'd forgotten that he broke his arm. What year would that be?
I would say that he was probably playing in the under-14s when I was playing in the under-15s, I would guess.
Right.
Brian Pell would have probably only been a first year, but he was in the under-14s at that stage.
Yes, yes. So you remember? Do you remember Terry Thorne?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Because I think that was the Thorne, as in Fosterton Thorns at Curtin, wasn't it?
Fosterton Thorne, it was. Yes. Yeah.
But I always remember Terry Thorne because he used to carry a comb in his pocket, in his shorts pocket, and he used to be combing his hair. He was a little bit. Yeah,
he was a ladies man. I think Terry was. Yes,
absolutely, he was. Yes, and of course I was too young and innocent in those days to understand what it was all about. But,
and me.
Did you ever go to the corporation baths at all?
I was a non-swimmer, David, in those days, so I hated it to go there.
Right. Well, I have got an up-to-date picture of what it looks like now, but it still looks pretty much like as it did in our day. And my memory of the corporation baths is that for some bizarre reason, I was made captain of the under-12 swimming team, and I'd only just learned to swim. I couldn't swim at full length. So when we had a competition at Spalding, they had to pull me out of the pool to save me from drowning. So
Dave Boulder, of course, was the top swimmer in our forms. So
yes, he was.
The new swimming baths are named after his father, of course. So.
Oh, are they? Oh, right. Yeah, no.
Jeff
Dave
Boulder
was a good, very good swimmer, and he was another one, a bit like Terry Thorne, who liked looking himself in the mirror from memory. Anyway, that's a different story. Anyway, so we go back to the aerial view, and because I'm using a desktop version, I'm going to play Chris Blakey's video, which should play okay. If anybody uses the web version of this, they can get out of this by clicking on the aerial view, and it will take you back to the aerial view. So you were here on that day, if you remember.
I was. I do.
Chris Blakey pulled his 1932 Austin 7 into the playground. There we are, and here you are taking a picture. Can you see yourself?
Yeah, nice sunny day, obviously.
It was a nice sunny day, and I mean, I must admit to be very impressed by the fact that Chris actually made it to Tokyo, because I really was concerned that with him just going on his own and without a support team, that he would be lucky if he made it. But he did have some fantastic support whilst he was over there. So I'm going to go into the library now and maybe share one or two memories with you. Did you go much into the library in your day?
I didn't actually. You probably recall, I left after the 5th year, and I think up to the 5th year, very few of us really used the library in those days.
Yes, and I didn't really use it. And of course, today, as you know, because you're much more familiar with it, the way that it looks now than I am. You've got the IT area in the library, which didn't exist nowadays. It was slide rules and logarithms. I think when we were at school.
That was it.
But the other thing I didn't go into, I don't know whether this existed in my day, but the old.
It didn't.
Sorry. The museum.
No, it didn't. I mean, that was all produced by, or sort of, the people behind that were people like John Porcher and Paul Mould and Malcolm Hall.
Right.
If it wasn't for people who are all now deceased, actually, we wouldn't have had a museum, but they pushed to get it.
Yes. and it was very interesting as well. You know, so I really enjoyed looking at some of the nostalgia there.
We do need to do quite a bit of work in there actually, and thankfully we've got Luke Anderson, who's an old boy and a teacher at the school, who's got a few pupils now who are quite interested in logging everything with the assistance of a friend of Luke's who is a museum expert. So we're hopefully going to get it done and sorted out. Because unfortunately, everything got put to one side and very quickly in 2013 when the flood happened.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that museum was flooded to a depth of about 2 feet.
Wow. Well, I didn't realise that. But you know, if that project is resurrected, you know, one of the areas that I'm involved in is the idea of virtual museums.
Yes, yeah.
Based on using you know, the kind of technology that I'm showing you here.
The Old Boys Association have actually just given £1,000 to Luke to buy necessary equipment, storage items, and that sort of thing for the lads to use, so that we can get it properly logged and set up.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, that's really good.
We think it's very important.
Yeah.
For the history of the school.
I agree entirely, and I think especially now, because I think we have really quite an uncertain future, and we need to try and capture people's memories and be able to use whatever tools at our exposure.
We're very fortunate, of course, that the head, John McHenry, is of course a history teacher, so so he's very keen on this sort of thing as well, and obviously the Old Boys, we've now got some more people on the committee who want to ensure that it is maintained. And the other thing is, from the Old Boys' point of view, we are hoping to start doing video conferencing for meetings. For actual committee meetings, so we'll then be able to invite the likes of you, Dave, onto our committee, and so you don't have to travel from Northampton.
Right. Well, I just literally this yesterday, I took out a license with Zoom for webinar. Now I can hold and organise unlimited virtual meetings. So if you want to just use that tool that I've got for virtual committee meetings, you're more than welcome to use it. But
well, we think actually we may actually already have the IT hardware and software in the school that we provided a few years ago. So it's just that no one's been able to use it. So we're hoping in fact, we were going to trial it last Tuesday, which was going to be our meeting before the dinner. But we cancelled the committee meeting as well, so it's something which we may be able to do in the future, or very soon.
Well, I'd be happy to help out with that. I've got tools not only for virtual meetings, which can be up to 100 people of unlimited length. I can also do webinars where you can have guest speakers, and you can not only have an audience logged on virtually to interact, you can also stream it into Facebook, so that you've got an unlimited number of people able to watch it. So
I'm sure Simon and Luke will see this video, so I'm sure that they'll hear about it now.
Okay, I'm just going to go into the corridor now. Of course, the quadrangle has changed a lot since our day, because we've had that link building built that you can see here, and that effectively divided the quadrangle. But I took this picture of this corridor because from memory, it was down this corridor where there was a notice board where they put up the soccer teams. So I always
football as we know.
Sorry?
Football as we knew it then. Football as we knew it then.
Football as we knew it. And I was talking to Chris yesterday. I've got a feeling that our art classes were down this corridor as well with Banger.
They were certainly, yeah. That
Yeah.
was the job class was then the art, and then the art room, and then the sixth form room. I think it was down there.
Yeah, and down the end of the corridor, I seem to remember, before you turned towards a assembly hall, we used to do geography with Mr. Molyneux.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's the one.
And on the same corridor further down, it was Latin with Joe Gledhill, if I remember right.
Exactly, yes.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we go to reception now, and of course none of this existed in our day. So they've done a nice, I think they've done a nice job of it. And I was very impressed when I came here. I did take a lot more photographs than I've included in this tour. But I want to finish up just by going into the assembly hall. And here, when you go into the assembly hall in this virtual tour, it automatically loads up the video that Chris Blakey recorded. So Chris recorded that video. I set it so that it will pause if you click on it. But I just wanted to show you a couple of other things from my memories of the assembly hall. And do you remember the Gotham City band at school?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I actually saw them really that much, because you probably were playing more after I'd left, because I left in '64. So I think you probably 65, 66, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, that will be more like. You got Tyrone Dolby there, Nick Flynn
there, yes.
Yeah, yes. I don't know how I got into the band, because I don't regard myself as a strong singer, but I did try to play bass as well, with not a great deal of success. But the other thing that I remember from the early in that day was the Boston Gang Show.
Yes.
Because I was in the Scouts, and this is a shot from one of the shows, and I'm actually the little boy on the end there, and this was a musical number called On the 8:15 to Suburbia. So I'm not sure whether if I click on that it will start again. Yes, it will. Yeah. So this is a facility that, because it's online now, there is a web link to it, which works as far as this video is concerned. The only restrictions are on any 360-degree videos that I've set up, because they won't work properly. But it means that anybody who wants to see this story of Chris's can access the virtual tour via a website. Go to the Herbert Ingram statue and the 5 lamps and shod fries, everything that we've done in our conversation, other people will be able to do, and really just trigger their own memories of their time in the school. So when you click, you go back to the main aerial view. There are some other links there. Were you living out at sort of Swineshead Way when you were growing up?
Well, Bicker. I was lived in Bicker. Yes.
So how did you get into school then? Was there a school bus?
Well, yeah, I actually lived at the bottom of Bicker Fen. So first of all, I had a 3-mile cycle ride up to the village, the A52, and then the school bus started picking up in Donington. And then obviously came through Bicker, through Swineshead, Curtin Home, and onto West Street, where the bus station was, on to Bond Street, in fact, those days. Yes. And then we walked Bond Street over the town bridge, because there wasn't a Haven Bridge then.
No.
And past Boots, and walked up South Street to the school, taking a shortcut usually through the Odeon Yard.
Yes, yeah. Well, I lived at Wibberton, and So I used to cycle, and I used to cycle along the river, basically the path that you see there. And I used to get my bike and push it over the swing bridge, and then drive down,
Yes.
ride down the Bath Gardens, past the old baths, to school. And I did
That's fine.
record a video memory of those days when I stood with the swing bridge behind me across the River Haven, and on the other side of the River Haven are Boston Docks. In front of me, I'm looking at the crossing gates and the old signals. They used to control the trains that used to come across this bridge to the docks, carrying timber. I remember in those days the old steam trains. They were little shunting engines, and my mum always used to refer to them as coffee pots. It looks a little bit muddy down there on the side of the river. I can't believe that when I was a kid, we used to go down Crumpton Marsh, and we would quite happily paddle in this mud and swim in the kind of muddy coloured water that you can perhaps see on the river. So I used to come this way to school, and I would cycle along the river bank, and I would come across, and I would walk across the swing bridge behind me, because in those days, most of the time, the bridge was over the river, so you could walk over with your bike. And then I used to cycle along the path there, which is called, I think it was called Bath Gardens, because further down there on the right-hand side were the old corporation baths, and just past there was the old Boston General Hospital. Yeah, so that was some of my memories of cycling to school. Did you watch the Wild Bill series at all?
I did. I did actually. Yeah.
What did you think of
Just
it?
really, just as I thought the storylines were fairly weak, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was a bit sad how it was done.
Yes, it was. I think yeah, I don't think it was very well written. It was very quirky, and I don't think it presented a very good picture of Boston. It was presented Boston as a place that's riddled with, immigration problems and that kind of stuff, and full of criminals, people of ill intent, and really not much intelligence most of the time.
Yeah, we won't go there too much, David. So
No.
keep off the
we could get into trouble, yeah. So
exactly. That's right.
So anyway, I stop sharing the screen now and just go back to the conversation. Are there any other memories you want to share with us whilst we're talking to each other?
Well, I say it really, obviously they were, as we all say, good old days. To be honest, I started grammar school in 1959 and knew really very few people. Because I was the only boy from here that passed the 11 plus of that year. So it was a lonely old start, but made some great friends since then, and still in touch with many. And I was in touch with Bill Dacre a few weeks ago, actually.
Oh, yes.
Who in Florida. I'm regularly hear from Stuart Brown, and obviously you see quite a few of the people who are still local as well anyway, but sadly a few of the old mates have passed as well, so
yes, that's that's sad. Have you lived in Boston and in around Boston for all of your life then?
Yeah, I have, sadly, yes. Yeah, obviously born in Bicker, moved to Swineshead, now live in just off Rosebery Avenue, so and obviously I have my business. I started work in Donington, couldn't wait to leave school. Started working in an auctioneer's office, and then moved on to selling houses, and then obviously eventually started my own business. It's still going strong, thankfully. It's not my business, but the business is going strong.
Good. Well, in these uncertain times, you know, I guess estate agents have a bit of a challenge, but I do know, or one of the bits of one of the tools that I use actually was developed for estate agents to allow them to show people around properties remotely. So you can have a client, could be anywhere in the world, and you can use the 360-degree pictures to show them around the properties. And
so, well, these difficult times are sent to try us, and you know, the best will survive, and the ones who work hard enough and long enough will survive.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you still have managed to find the time to do all of your good work for the Old Boys Association. I'm sure I'm not the only one that appreciates everything that you've done, and it's great to share these kind of memories and to be able to use technology to do that. So now that our conversation drawing to an end, what I plan to do then is when the video recording is downloaded, I will just make sure there's nothing in there that's libelous or embarrassing. And
I don't think we have. I think we've steered off it.
Yeah, what I do is I'll publish it to probably Facebook and YouTube, and the whole idea of the Facebook Watch Party group would be, I think it's probably too short notice really to organise a watch party for this time. But what we might do once we've got one or two videos on there is set a time aside when we can invite people to watch these videos online. And the big advantage of that is that you know, you and I and Chris Blakey and Simon Meads, if we are online in the watch party, we can have chat conversations with other people and swap memories whilst the video is going on.
Yeah, we maybe get a bottle of Bateman's as well to have at the same time.
That sounds like a good idea. Good old Bateman's Brewery. Yes. Okay.
Which we'd probably all have been having a food. We'd have had a food tonight, I'm sure, at the county club.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. Anyway, Pete, thanks very much for joining me this afternoon, and I'll let you know when the links are posted and send you a copy of the link.
Thanks, Dave. Stay in touch and keep all the best.
Keep safe. Keep safe.